My name's Dave Howarth. I'm the Head of Athletic Performance here at Connacht Rugby. There's 3 different levels of regeneration that we'd suggest for our guys to do after big sessions, between sessions, so that they can get ready to perform again at the next opportunity they have. Essentially, you can do active regen, passive regen, or some sort of mental regen. This is a 3-part series. The first part is just going to be a little bit of trigger therapy. So the guys are going to start off hugging themselves around their chest, so trying to get elbow on top of elbow. You're just working between your hips and about the middle of your thoracic spine, so just up in between your shoulder blades, working back and forth. So what we're trying to do is pin down the tissue that's really tight and then move the adjacent section of your body. It's not particularly pleasant, and nor do you want it to be. You want it to feel like a 6 or 7 out of 10. So the theory here is we've got tissue spanning between our joints, and that muscle makes those joints move, makes us athletic, makes sure that we can move dynamically when we need to. But if that tissue is all bound up and stiff and not able to move, we're not going to move very well. So we want to release that tissue here. That's why it's called trigger therapy. You find the spot that is giving you the problems, you push down on it, and then you move that joint adjacent to it or just below it, below where the tissue is. We transition here into the second phase of this. We just want to do some basic stretching. So in a push-up position, we're going to go, first one's a pigeon push-up. So we're just pulling that knee right up in between your hands. And what we want to do here is, wherever you're comfortable with that hip, you want to drop your chest down over the top of your knees. So like a push-up, we're just lengthening out that muscle towards the back, round the glutes, round your hip there. This is a part that gets pretty tied up in rugby players, changing direction, getting blasted off the ball. It's pretty hard to hold yourself in there. So if you've got great range of motion, and the ability to hold that position, it ends up in a little bit of a performance advantage, but it can also be quite a relief after a long week of training. In that pigeon push-up position, it's pretty easy to transition into a little shin box. So we'll just sit up here, guys. What we can do is if we tuck that foot in behind you or get it as close to your butt as you can, just leaning back, opening up that front side of the hip. And as far back as you can go, as far back as you're comfortable. You don't want to overdo this. You can sort of tweak out your knee a little bit if you're feeling a bit ordinary. So you just want to go gently into it, open up just that inside edge of your hip. Should feel quite nice. While we're here, boys, we'll just lie back, roll that leg over, trying to keep your shoulder on the ground. If you're struggling to keep your shoulder on the ground, or if your hips don't want to be as mobile, just roll right over onto your side. You lift that hand up overhead and just twist that back out as far as you can. On each of these here, especially on a down day, you can hold these positions and just relax into them for 1 or 2 minutes at a time. Really loosen up your shoulders, loosen up your chest, you'll feel really good. Once we've done both sides there, we're just going to transition this into a little bit of a movement flow. We're going to start nice and low, pushing up overhead, reaching away, opening up our shoulders, challenging that balance, sinking down and through to touch the ground. And from here, we're just going to walk our hands forward until we're in a solid push-up position. 2 boys are going to work down and through a Hindu push-up. So they come all the way up and then push back and through into their heels. We're going to do 3 or 4 of these, just until the back feels really good. From here, we'll step forward, so foot goes just behind the hand. I'm going to rotate out to get some balance and rotate through. Again, just making sure we're pushing into the ground with the foot and the hand to get balanced. Come down, open up. What I want everyone to do is just drag that foot through, sitting down on their heel, roll back through. Now we want a little bit of a challenge to the core here, so we're just going to bring hands back in what we call a bear or bear crawl position. From here, we're going to do an X switch, so just lifting up one foot and the opposite hand to touch the shoulder, and we're just transitioning between sides for 2 or 3 here, keeping knees nice and low, back nice and flat, everything balanced. We can roll back into our squat position, stand up nice and smooth. That's a little example of a nice easy regen session you can do on your days off, a little active session for you to get ready to go for your next session. A couple of do's and don'ts. One thing we want to prioritise going into any of these sessions is making sure we get enough sleep and we've eaten the right food. So all of this is sort of like putting lipstick on a monkey if you don't do those 2 things first. Let's make sure that we get really good sleep, eat really good food, feel good going into the day off. Once you're in your day off, Make sure that you're taking your time going through this. Don't rush it. Don't turn it into a full workout, because that's coming the day after for you. And make sure that, that you've gone through each of those little steps of active, passive and mental regen to make sure you tie it all off.